With that swing of the gavel, President Trump became the third president in American history to be impeached. Tonight, the fallout from the historic votes stretches from Capitol Hill to San Diego.
House Democrats passed 2 articles of impeachment for abuse of power and another for obstruction of Congress. All of this setting up for a showdown in the Senate next month, which most expect will end without the president being removed from office.
Article 2 is adopted.
Pause. This is how the trick works. When the rules catch him, he says the rules are corrupt.
Now, Donald Trump has become only the 3rd U.S. president to be impeached. The Democrat-controlled House of Representatives last night approved 2 charges, setting up a trial next month in the Senate. But the Senate is dominated by Republicans, so the president is almost certain to remain in office. Mr. Trump denies abusing his power and obstructing Congress and says the process is a witch hunt. Our North America editor, John Sopel, has more details.
On an historic night, Donald Trump chose to be nowhere near Washington. He's 600 miles north in Battle Creek and never more ready to do battle. As he's taking to the podium in a perfect split-screen moment, the votes are being counted in the House of Representatives that will impeach him.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no.
December 18th, 2019, a date that will live in history.
The ayes have it.
On this day, President Donald J. Trump assured his place in the record books for all the wrong reasons.
Article 1 is adopted. The question is on adoption of Article 2.
Impeached for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress.
That is not just bad optics. That is the Constitution knocking on the front door while Trump tries to call it a home invasion.
Yeah, please.
President, what do you say to Democrats that say you were witness tampering this morning when you made that tweet?
You don't want to talk about transparency?
Well,
no, I'll talk about transparency. I like transparency here, and I'm the most transparent president in history. And I'll tell you about what tampering is. Tampering is when a guy like Shifty Schiff doesn't let us have lawyers. Tampering is when Schiff doesn't let us have witnesses, doesn't let us speak. I've been watching today. For the first time, I started watching, and it's really sad when you see people not allowed to ask questions. It's totally, nobody's ever had such horrible due process. There was no due process.
The White House just released a statement moments ago saying this was one of the most shameful political episodes in American history. Meantime, Democrats say they did not take the decision to impeach the president lightly.
Today we took action to hold President Trump accountable for the serious and undisputed risk he poses to our free and fair elections and to the separation of powers that safeguards our liberty. A president must not be allowed to become a dictator.
Pause on that word, dictator. That is not random. That is the fear underneath this entire impeachment, that a president starts treating permission like an insult.
It's just going to be, I mean, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. We don't impeach them. You know why? Because they're meaner than we are. We should have impeached Joe Biden for 100 different things. They are mean and smart. But fortunately for you, they have horrible policy. They can be smart as can be, but when they want open borders, when they want, as I said, men and women sports, when they want transgender for everyone, bring your kids in, we're going to change the sex of your child. Just send them our way. In some cases, like in Minnesota, they don't even tell the parents. Is that right? And nobody believes it when I say it. I think we have 6 states. Nobody, am I correct? Okay, Tom Emmer said yes, so. But it's true. Where the kid comes back, they keep the kid. They operate on the kid. They don't tell the parents.
Tonight we're reporting on the international chaos that defines Trump's January, the president repeatedly threatening a once unthinkable step, attacking our European allies or invading Greenland, all so that the U.S. might take that country by force, something you may recall from recent Putin foreign policy. Now, after major pushback, which includes U.S. lawmakers condemning Trump's war talk, European leaders fighting fire with fire, they've talked about an economic bazooka to go back and hurt the U.S. for Trump's sort of economic war of choice.
That's the part they keep trying to bury. Trump didn't ask permission. He talked like the military was already his personal remote control, and now Congress and world leaders are looking at him like, who handed this man the launch menu?
a great day for the Constitution of the United States, a sad one for America.
The divisions in Congress reflect a deeper divide in the country at large. In Kalamazoo, Michigan, Michelle Wong watched at home.
So I've been watching this and listening to this off and on all day today.
Tonight, she was cheering the Democrats on.
They know he's guilty. They know it.
Over in Battle Creek, Michigan, half an hour away, a very different reaction.
Pause on that word, coup. That is not an accident. That is the escape hatch. If Trump can make impeachment sound illegal, he never has to answer why Congress impeached him in the first place.
They have horrendous policy. What they do is they stick together. They never have a no vote. If they impeached me, I never knew I was going to be impeached. I get a phone call, you just got impeached. I said, what does that mean? It took them 10 minutes. They impeached the president of the United States, who did a damn good job. I rebuilt our military, Space Force, I got everything. I did a lot. They impeached me for nothing, twice, for nothing. Fortunately, you were on our side, and we were unanimous. And the second time, the few people in this little group, like Rice and this, they're all gone. Every one of them is gone, except one that we're going to sort of let ride with. Some guy that has a state that you might as well just let him ride. But think of it, everyone's gone.
Where do things stand now in terms of impeachment and the whistleblower investigation?
Well, clearly, President Trump has made clear that he is not a fan of this investigation. He tweeted, as you noted, that he called it a coup rather than an impeachment inquiry. By the way, that's the 7th time he's used coup in a tweet this year regarding House Democrats.
Now step back from the noise and look at the trick, because this is where the whole thing gets ugly. Trump did not just get hit with another bad headline. He got confronted with the one question powerful people hate more than anything. Who gave you permission? That is the part they want buried under the shouting, not the drama, not the hashtags, not the cable news screaming match. The question is painfully simple. Did the president go around Congress? Did he treat war power like a private tool? Did he act first and dare the system to catch up later? Because if the answer is yes, then the scandal is not complicated. The scandal is a president looking at the branch of government built to check him and treating it like background noise. And that is why the word coup matters so much. Trump was not using that word by accident. That word was the escape hatch. Impeachment is written into the Constitution. A coup is not. So when Trump calls impeachment a coup, he is not just complaining. He is trying to rewrite the category. He is trying to take a legal process and make it sound like a crime scene. That is the manipulation. If accountability becomes a coup, then the people asking questions become the villains. If oversight becomes treason, then the Constitution itself becomes suspicious. If Congress doing its job becomes election interference, then power never has to answer for anything. That is not a defense. That is reality laundering. Take the thing you are accused of doing, bury it under a louder accusation, then make everyone argue about the label instead of the conduct. And it works because people get exhausted. They hear coup, treason, election interference, witch hunt, hoax, scam. And after a while, the original question disappears behind the fog machine. But the original question is still sitting there like a dead body in the room. Who gave him permission? That is what this impeachment is really about. Not whether Trump likes being checked. Not whether his supporters believe him. Not whether Republicans can spin it into another loyalty test. The question is whether a president can move toward military action, skip Congress, and then call Congress corrupt when it pushes back. Because once that becomes normal, the guardrails are not guardrails anymore. They are decorations. Nice little constitutional furniture nobody actually uses. And that is how power grows teeth. Not all at once. Not with one dramatic movie villain moment. It happens when each line gets crossed and everybody is told not to overreact. Don't overreact when Congress is ignored. Don't overreact when war talk gets reckless. Don't overreact when world leaders condemn it. Don't overreact when lawmakers push back. Don't overreact when the president calls the constitutional process a coup. At some point, don't overreact becomes the instruction manual for letting power do whatever it wants. And that is why this matters beyond Trump. Because every future president watches what the last president got away with. Every skipped approval becomes a precedent. Every ignored warning becomes permission for the next person. Every time Congress flinches, the executive branch learns it can swing harder next time. This is not about being dramatic. This is about refusing to be hypnotized by volume. Trump's move is always the same. When the rules catch him, he says the rules are corrupt. When the referee blows the whistle, he accuses the referee of rigging the game. When Congress reaches for the Constitution, he screams coup and hopes the crowd forgets what impeachment actually is. That is the scam. The performance wants you emotional, confused, and loyal before you ever get to the facts. But the facts are not that complicated. Congress exists for a reason. War powers exist for a reason. Impeachment exists for a reason. These are not optional speed bumps placed in front of a president for decoration. They are the system saying no one person gets to turn the country into their personal weapon. And if a president cannot handle that question without calling the process criminal, that tells you everything. Because the real danger is not just the strike, it is the mindset behind it. The mindset that says permission is weakness, oversight is betrayal, accountability is a coup. That is how democratic language gets poisoned. That is how people are trained to see checks and balances as enemies. And once that happens, the president does not have to break the system alone. He just has to convince enough people that the system deserved it.